Hey, what's going on? My name is
Hey,
Chris.
what's up? And I'm Ian, and you're here watching the podcast. How are you doing this week, Chris?
Dude, I'm doing all right, and I am sorry to say you got to restart your audio engine again. It's perfect
No!
every time we push the go button. It's magic. I don't understand it.
I don't know. Maybe it's something on the other end, but what it is, what it
Dude,
is.
I hear what they hear. I don't know.
Because it's consistent every time.
It really is every time. And
But
we're
how
not
are
even
we
doing
doing
anything
with
special.
our-
We're just switching a scene. Like we're actually using less memory on my system to do this. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know. Who knows?
oh, do you want to just get started? You want to talk about some upcoming games, things that are happening soon?
I do want to mention that we have a brand new layout.
Yeah, we do. Look at this.
Last
Full
week
health.
we had talked about some changes coming, and so we got the full health webcam frames. We've got a brand new logo designed by a good friend of ours at Damn It Bennett.
Damn it, Bennett.
If you're not following
good
him,
job.
he streams Destiny 2. He did a phenomenal job. I love the logo
Really well,
so much now.
We got our names right down here. You can find
Yep.
us on the internet.
You can find us. Yep, we both stream on Twitch, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
So
Great.
yeah. Let's talk about some upcoming games.
Let's do it.
We got some games coming out tomorrow. You know, the normal Tuesday release day. Tuesday, Thursday is most commonly. Tuesday, Friday is most commonly.
Gotta
release
pad those
days.
weekend stats, you know.
Yeah, but we're a few months back. I got completely addicted to the Mega Man Collection 1 and 2, which allowed me to play all the first 9 Mega Man games back on my Switch, and that included things with like a rewind feature. So like the amount of times that I died, I could just kind of rewind it and then not die the second time around. But tomorrow they are releasing the Mega Man X Collection 1 and 2, which allow you to play Mega Man X all the way up to I don't remember. I think it's like 14 or 15.
Were there that many X games?
Dude, there was so many. Obviously,
I know
because
they moved
there's
into PlayStation at some point, but
yeah, but we're looking at 4 different Mega Man collection games between Mega Man 1 and 2, and then X1 and X2.
X1 was such an incredible game.
Oh, absolutely! I think next to Mega Man 2, best Mega Man game ever created. Thanks for hanging around, buddy. But also coming out tomorrow, the hype is real. No Man's Sky finally hitting Xbox One. It's been 2 years, or however long it's been since No Man's Sky came out.
It's been a while.
It's been, I think, 2 years, and it's coming at the right time because I know there's a big update coming out soon, which we'll talk about later on.
Yes.
And that's coming out tomorrow for the Xbox One. Also coming out tomorrow, the Banner Saga Volume 3 is coming out for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, and Mac. Have you played the Banner Saga at all?
I never did. I heard wonderful things, and I never played it.
It is currently sitting on my Steam library. I just haven't ever.
I think it's in my GOG library. Yeah.
Yeah. For a while, they were just like kind of giving that game out all the time for free. I think I got it in like a Humble Bumble or something like that. Other than that, that's pretty much it for tomorrow. On Friday, we have a couple of interesting drops coming out. We have a game called Hello Neighbor, which has been out for the PC and the Xbox for a while now. It's kind of like a hard survival game, but kind of like if Pixar's Up was a horror survival game where you were trying to avoid the old man. That would be what Hello Neighbor is. You're trying to figure out what the neighbor is hiding, so you sneak into their house and then you make your way around, and hopefully you don't get caught, and you try to figure out what his dark secret is. It's that game is it's a lot of fun. I played it on PC for a little bit. It's coming out tomorrow for the PS4, the Switch, and mobile. It's coming out for both Android and iOS. And finally, the big Switch released on Friday is Go Vacation, which is kind of like Mii Sports wrapped up with like The Sims and all sorts of stuff. It's got like 50 different mini games that you could play, from like mini golf to skateboarding to parachuting and all that kind of stuff. It's the game that like they tried to do with 1-2 Switch, but unfortunately wasn't all that successful.
Yeah.
But Go Vacation kind of reminds me of like the original ports. So hopefully this is the game that kind of fills that need. And that's pretty much about it for all the games coming out this week. It's 6 pretty decent sized releases, and it'll be interesting to see how No Man's Sky kind of does.
Honestly, I hope people give it a second chance. Here's the thing.
Okay.
The guy who initially, the guy who everybody kind of attributes to the game, I think his name is Sean or something.
Sean.
I think he was under a lot of, and this is because nobody really has like the true facts. Here's my take on it. Like, I never followed the hype for No Man's Sky. I had heard about it and like kind of knew about it, but I didn't really know what it was really about. And so it came out, and I saw people playing it, and I went to the website and read some stuff, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. So I picked it up and I played it on GOG. I had a very positive experience. I don't think it was a $60 game, but I don't regret my purchase. I had a lot of cool times exploring planets and finding new weird species and finding crazy geologic formations and like mining rocks and building stuff and upgrading my suit and getting a spaceship and upgrading the spaceship and flying it around and stuff. I had a good time. I had fun. And it wasn't until after I had played it for like a couple days that I started seeing, reports on the internet that, oh, the game is terrible and it's so bad and this guy lied to us and it's not multiplayer and blah, 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 blah. And my first reaction to this was, breaking news. Marketing team lies to people. But looking back, I did some more investigation into like what people were talking about, and I looked and I read it, like interviews that had been done and stuff. And so the guy said some stuff that wasn't true, and I don't know. I think there was more context to it than what people were pointing out. I mean, it was this little indie studio that got partnered with Sony, and I can only imagine how that first meeting went, where this guy who had never, he was just a guy who was making games. Like, it'd be like if you and I were making a game, and then fucking, I don't know, Bethesda came to us and they're like, we want to publish your game. Like, we wouldn't say no to that. Right?
No.
Like, oh, dude, absolutely. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, because people are going to play it.
Yeah. And my best guess is that they agreed to stipulations to, they probably signed a form that was like, here's what we're going to market, and here's what we're going to deliver, and here's when it's going to ship, right? And they couldn't not do that. Right? So, I mean, they had to. So it comes out, and it's not as great as everybody was hoping it was, and it's probably not as great as the dev team was hoping it would be by that time. As a developer, I know that software is very difficult to write, and that it doesn't always go as planned, and if you need 2 weeks, you really need 6 months.
Right.
So they've been releasing free updates to this game every few months for the past, since it released. And I believe this is the 4th major update they're releasing for this game. And it's easily the biggest one, and even before what they have right now. As the game currently stands, because Next comes out tomorrow. As it currently stands, No Man's Sky has a shell of multiplayer. Like, you can ghost into somebody else's world and be a ball of light and follow them around. You can see each other as names have been XYZ discovered, whatever, in the world. They added base building. They added new vehicles you can drive around on planets, which wasn't there at all before. They added new ships, new modules, new scanners. They upgraded the graphics a little bit. They fixed bugs and performance issues, and they did all of this stuff. They added farming, and
they gave it away for free.
Stuff. Yeah, and they're giving it all away for free. This company has been nothing but trying to make up for their mistakes for 2 years, and everybody still looks at No Man's Sky like, oh, that game was shit. No one's ever going to give this game another chance. I really want them to give this game another chance.
No, I think a lot more people than you think are going to give this game I mean, the people who played the Atlas Rises updates, I think they're getting it's 90% of them are rating it positive. People are really starting to come back around on this game, and that's why the hype is real. I think if you look at the Steam sales or whatever it is, the hot Steam games or whatever. I think last time I checked, it was sitting at 14.
Really?
So So I mean, people are getting pretty
awesome then.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that then, because I really do want people to give this game another chance. I am
think they're
currently
going
locked
to.
into Zelda on my stream, but I'm going to be playing next off stream. Just
Yeah.
giving it another go because I enjoyed that game very much, and I look forward to the brand new campaign. And because I haven't played Atlas Rises, so I'm looking forward to playing that, and I'm looking forward to the multiplayer features and everything else. So fingers crossed.
Well,
it's awesome.
The big thing with the launch of Next is they're also launching a website that's dedicated to the community, and they're calling it Galactic Atlas, and it features like all sorts of points of interest that people have voted on being points of interest. Like it's all like the fans and stuff have voted in on all this stuff. And they plan on growing it throughout the course of everything that's going on. So at least like out of the gate, they're going to give you a couple of places that everyone thinks are neat that you should check out. So that way, like instead of if you don't want to do the whole just random mindlessly explore the galaxy, the website will give you a couple focal points to start off at and see if you like it again. So yeah, I mean it's sitting. I've got it sitting in my Steam library, and I'm ready to start getting back into it. So when I get back from work next week, I might load it back up.
Sweet.
Yeah.
One of the technical things I thought was cool about No Man's Sky was that the entire galaxy is randomly generated, except that everyone has a single seed. So we're all playing in the same universe because but it is being generated randomly when you go. So it's pretty nifty, I think.
I agree.
All right, let's get going.
Yeah.
Enough about No Man's Sky. We're gonna see more of it soon. Let's move into some gaming news here. So there were a few cool things that happened this past week, but I did want to start it off with a little note from Nintendo here, and this is just Nintendo being Nintendo. They aggressively protect all of their copyrights. Nintendo has recently filed a lawsuit against two emulation websites. One of them is called Love ROMs, and the other one is called Love Retro.
Right.
So I've just got two quotes from this article, and then I'm going to go into it a little bit. So the first is, the resulting popularity of defendants' Love ROMs and Love Retro websites has allowed defendants to reap substantial ill-gotten gains, including through donations and the sale of advertising on the Love ROMs and Love Retro websites. So basically, those websites, they're not really making money. The only way they pay their web hosting costs is people who donate to them to keep them online and that kind of thing. And Nintendo is looking at that as making profit off of selling their games, which is not exactly what they're doing, but I understand why Nintendo would look at it that way. So they have hit them hard. The second quote is thus: Nintendo are after statutory damages of 150,000 United States dollars for each Nintendo game hosted on the sites, and up to $2 million US for each trademark infringement, as well as a handover of the domain names and the sources of their ROMs. So, depending on
That's big money.
Yeah, I actually did a little math on that. I was like, every Nintendo game, because I'm familiar with these websites, right? Like I am not a stranger to emulation. I buy all my games because I'm an adult and I have money. But when I was a kid, hell yeah, that's how I played half of my games because that's what was available, right? Anyhow, I did a little bit of research and I came up with this number. I looked up a list of every Nintendo published game, every game that Nintendo as a company has published that they could make a copyright claim to, right? And this
got to be thousands.
It's a lot, yeah. It's this list covers every console that, to my knowledge, is able to be emulated. So that means NES, Super Nintendo, N64, GameCube, Wii, DS, 3DS, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Pocket. You got your your offshoot, one-off kind of things that Nintendo has made available, like the Nintendo Family Computer and all that stuff. Like anything that could be
Virtual Boy.
Yeah, Virtual Boy, yeah, all of that stuff. So the number that I came up with, and this is probably not really accurate. Yeah, DS included, all that stuff. The number that is probably not super accurate, but is the best that I can come up with for every game that was developed and published by Nintendo that they could probably stake a claim on is 1,434 games.
Jeez.
And so
wait, hold on. I want to do a little bit of extra math here. I'm going to do a little bit of extra.
Go for it. So
because if that's the amount, yeah, I'll let.
Based just on that number of games, if the websites hosted all of them, Nintendo would stand to make $215,100,000 off of that suit, which they are not gonna make off of a couple of emulation sites, right? There's no way, and it's like they're just trying to get them shut down. The part of this that worries me is the end of that second quote, which is as well as a handover of the domain names and the sources of their ROMs. Now, I don't really care about the handover of domains. I get it. They're trying to take the sites down. Okay. But handing over the sources of their ROMs is the part that worries me. And depending on how that's interpreted by the court, if that's just like access to the S3 bucket where all the ROMs are hosted, then yeah, whatever. That's completely reasonable. That's like a drug bust, right? That's like going in and taking the cocaine, right? But if that's names of people who own hardware and have the original cartridges that they could use to actually extract that hardware, like that's putting a lot of people in trouble for stuff that they did years and years and years ago. I mean, shit, Nintendo hardly has a well, let me just say this. The funniest part about this whole thing to me is if you downloaded Super Mario Brothers, the original one for the NES, if you downloaded Super Mario Brothers on the Wii U Virtual Console, you downloaded a ROM that somebody ripped. Nintendo literally downloaded a ROM off of the internet and sold it on their store. Now, They have the rights to do this. They own that property, but I think it's kind of funny that they just didn't rip their own software. They went to some emulation site and downloaded it, right? I find this funny. But
all right, this just in. Math is done.
Math is done.
Nintendo, who has been making games since 1980, if you take in consideration the 38 years of them making games, and you put that into the 1,434 number that you gave me, on average, they've made 38 games a year.
And that's almost not counting Wii U and Switch games.
Okay, so yeah, we could probably say that it's roughly 40 games a year at this point, which is almost a game on average, almost a game a week, and that for 38 years, and that blows my mind.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Now, to be super clear, that is not a list of games that Nintendo themselves have developed. That's a list of games that Nintendo has published, like acted as a publishing company. So like there are games on the Nintendo, the original NES, like Captain Bible, that are not published by Nintendo.
Published by Nintendo, right?
Yeah, they have the Nintendo seal of approval, but they're not published by Nintendo. So that's just a list of games that Nintendo has
published themselves.
Yeah. If they're capable of making money on it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, it's a boatload of money. Are they going to get it? I mean,
no.
They're definitely not going to get it. Yeah.
No. That's like suing me for $1 billion. It's like, look, you'll get a few grand, all right?
I'm bankrupt.
Yeah, sorry.
Company's bankrupt. Well, yeah, and then they'll just reopen as another ROM site, and because they'll still have the infrastructure there.
Oh yeah.
So,
and I mean, to be honest about it, like, even when you take down websites like this, you're really not taking down the ability to get these ROMs. Nintendo's going after an easy target. They're trying to make an example. Yeah. I mean, if you really want to get a ROM for something, I mean, it's any varying torrent website or, I don't know, the dark web or wherever it is that you go to get ROMs, you can find ROM collections. Like, over time, I have seen, like, just...
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and by collection, I mean every game in the library of a console collection, and like to the tune of a couple hundred megs for like the whole library, and it's like, jeez,
but for sure.
So
now let's look at the flip side of it. Let's look at the flip side. Why would Nintendo do now? Maybe they're looking at expanding their virtual console and offering more games and releasing more games, through their console, because it's like if they think they can make money off this, then you try to remove the free stuff, or and then you release it and make it available for everybody. You could pay $4 a game or whatever it is, or $2.99 a game or whatever you want to do. So maybe that's plans that they might have down the pipeline, because I do know they have been releasing some games that it seems like once a week on the Switch. It's like a new classic game. So who knows? I don't know, but maybe that's the flip side of it. Maybe they just kind of want to set the stage for them to come through and do like a mass dump, because it couldn't be that difficult to just add that stuff to the store. It just takes the manpower to physically add all of the titles to a web page.
Yeah, I imagine most of that trouble is metadata.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Nintendo has a history of being very protective of their copyright. We put up the trailer of Hey Pikachu or whatever the thing was in Eevee,
and it immediately got
we didn't even I published a video on YouTube. It didn't even make it to public. Like, they just found it in the processing phase and just
in the
immediately
queue
revoked the video. Like, we didn't even have the opportunity to edit it and remove the content and repost it or anything. Like, they were just like, no, this video can't exist. No matter what other context is in it, it's gone.
But that is a wonderful transition to our topic. Things that were uploaded on YouTube today. World of Warcraft Battle of the Azeroth is coming out, pretty soon. Yeah. I'm kind of stoked. And today they released a small short, an animated short. You actually turned me on to it. It's going to be a series that they're doing. They're doing like 3 of them. It's called Warbringers, and today they did the story, the animated short for Jaina Proudmoore.
Yep, and I am putting that link in chat right now.
Yep, you can put it in chat, and I know you had posted it in Discord. Mm-hmm. We do have a Discord channel
down below. Go find it.
Yeah, there's a link. There's a link directly below. You can go follow us there. Come join in. We try to post some stuff interesting stuff as we find it. So yeah,
we thought it was really cool. I watched it. I don't know, like if I kind of agree with half of the comments there on YouTube, where the people are just like, "Yo, Blizzard, don't go to Hollywood. Just make your own movie, and you'll destroy movie theater stuff." Yeah. So, but yeah, everything Blizzard puts out is just constant high quality. It's all the time. It's great.
And my opinion of the Overwatch anime. So I thought they were.
They're nice.
They rival Pixar. In what they do, it's absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen the Overwatch ones, just go to the YouTube channel, Play Overwatch. They're all there. I think there's like 8 or 9 of them now. It's it's awesome.
They're great.
So there's that one.
So Fallout 76, you've heard of this game, right?
Yeah.
Who hasn't?
Yeah, it was. No, I mean, like,
it's the new Rust.
Yeah, E3 is a small convention.
Yeah, indie.
Nothing big. No. Yeah, nothing big.
But anyway, Fallout 76, their beta goes live in October, and they posted on their forums, Jurassica, which, by the way, is an incredible name, posted on the Bethesda forums that the beta test will start small and grow over time, but she confirmed that it will open for everyone who pre-orders at participating retailers. So there's a list of places you can buy it, and it's like Walmart, GameStop, I don't know, a bunch of stuff. The one that they didn't list was Steam, so presumably it will be available on Steam, but we'll see.
Yeah. You want to go right into the next one here?
I do.
Go for it.
So there's a YouTube channel called GamerMeld. They tend to cover hardware stuff, just for gaming PCs. And they claim, they have allegedly received an email from an add-in board partner stating that the release date for the GeForce 11 series has been pushed back. And they actually have a brief schedule of release. So, despite me having heard no hardware news about this stuff at all, we have release dates for this. So, allegedly, the GTX 1180 will come out on August 30th. The GTX
Which
11...
that's insane.
Yeah.
That's like 6 weeks from now. That's not even 6 weeks from now.
Yeah, that's fucking soon. Yeah. The 1170 and 1180 Plus will come out on September 30th. And the GTX 1160 will come out on October 30th. So, coming soon. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good to know. I got to build a new.
Yeah, I've been waiting on buying another graphics card because I was like, I know the 11s are coming soon. It's been years, like soon. So here we go.
Hey, very cool. I'm looking forward to it because. So, actually, it's funny because we were talking about Overwatch and the videos there, and then in our Twitch chat, I know we were mentioning a couple of the new characters and all that stuff. The Overwatch League Grand Final are coming up this weekend. This has been it's been a 4-stage process. They've done 3 stages of 10 games each, and now we're finishing up with the 4th stage and then going into the championship games. There were 2 really, really big upsets to send the underdog teams into the finals. They were actually the 5th and the 6th seed in the tournament. So they did a big come from behind in order to make this happen. So playing in the finals in New York City this weekend will be the London Spitfire and my personal favorite, the Philadelphia Fusion. They're got to rep the hometown team for me. But the big thing about this game, the thing that I think is most important, is that the finals start Friday night and they go into Saturday day. The Friday night games are going to be broadcasted on ESPN, like not ESPN2, not ESPN3, not ESPN8, the Ocho, like legitimately on ESPN during prime time. So this is the first time ever that ESPN has shown any kind of esports gaming on their primary channel.
Yeah.
So that's huge. I know we've been following esports for a while since we started. I know we talked about a couple of those things happening in Vegas.
League was on ESPN2 at one point?
Yeah, League was on ESPN2. And I know we talked about like the big thing at the Luxor, the big esports gaming area that people can go to now. And, all the
hell, there was just an Olympic committee meeting about whether to allow esports into the Olympics.
Yeah.
So
this is just following that trend about and how much like big money is going to end up being in esports.
Yeah. It's going places.
Yeah, it's going places. And I think actually I'm gonna Google this because I could be wrong, but I want to say that the Philadelphia Fusion are actually like they're owned and operated by the 76ers, which are the basketball team.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Or like the management team that runs the Sixers also runs the Philadelphia Fusion, I believe.
Okay.
But I will confirm that. And I think that was like, I remember it being like the first time that a major sports team got involved with the esports. And like with that came the advanced fitness tracking and all this, like all the extra science, like the sports science statistics and all that stuff came with it. So I mean that might be why the Fusion did so well this year. But yeah, so there is that. Also, this week was crazy for Destiny 2.
Oh my gosh.
I know, this weekend was insane for Destiny 2.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like, I showed up one day, I sat down, I popped into Dammit Bennett's stream, and there was just a 1, go to IO, 2, do the Blight public event, 3, kill the boss that appears, 4, go into the portal, 5, profit. And I was like, what is this? So a little bit of playing games and investigation and other stuff later. A new secret quest has made an appearance now in Destiny 2 called Whisper of the Worm, and it gives you a sick weapon. Just saying.
Yeah, the Whisper of the Worm is pretty much a branded sniper rifle from D1 called the Black Spindle.
Yeah.
And the Black Spindle was super OP. And this is pretty much an exact copy, except with a take-in skin on top of it. It's a pretty brutal weapon. I think it automatically reloads if you get 3 critical hits.
Yeah,
and it
not
doesn't
just reloads.
And
it
when
just refills your clip. It doesn't go into reserves. You just get your ammo back.
You just get your ammo back, so you never run out of ammo.
We a few of us took it into the Vanilla Callus raid on normal just for science. Callus didn't make
you
it
can
past
melt
the
them.
third platform. It was funny. Yeah.
I know people who are two platforming Callus
Yeah,
with a raid team of all that. So yeah, that's insane. But unfortunately, if you haven't gotten it by point, it is closed.
Is it really?
I don't know. Yeah, they closed it earlier today. I want to say.
Good thing I got it's good thing I got the catalyst and the 36% for it, man.
Well, I think I think you can actually still do the heroic if you have the heroic, but you can't get the portal doesn't spawn anymore for in the public event. Okay. So that was confirmed. So unfortunately, if you haven't gotten it, then you haven't. I think it was like only around for 3 days. I think because I had a pretty big event for work that kind of took up my Friday, Saturday. And I think by that point, it was like Friday that everyone was like, this is a thing. And then it blew up. And Saturday, then earlier today or yesterday, they closed it or whatever it was. So, they'll probably reopen it again in the future. It'll probably be like a week off and then another week where it's on and all that kind of stuff. So don't fret. If you haven't gotten it yet, then you'll be able to get it sometime soon in the future.
Yep. But do be prepared for people to put LFGs up there like, you must have Whisper.
Yeah. Callus Raid or now are probably going to have Whisper of the Worm. Yeah. I could see that being like imperative for Eater of Worlds and stuff like that. Oh
my gosh, yeah, like I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, because you just get a giant face where like everything you can shoot is a crit. I mean, you just they'd be out of there.
Keep loading into them.
Yeah, it'd be great.
So that's that. We're if you guys didn't know, chat, we're me and Average Goatee Chris here. We're pretty big Dungeons and Dragons nerds, and we like to cover everything here, not just video games, but like tabletop games and card games. If there's some important news, and there was a pretty big leak yesterday on Amazon actually that kind of started this whole thing that we're going to talk about here.
Oh yeah.
Amazon accidentally leaked a new source book for Dungeons and Dragons. They accidentally posted a guide for the Eberron world setting, which is huge because it was the first. It's a new setting for 5e. It's an old setting, but they're rebringing it back for 5e.
Yeah, they're bringing back Eberron. Yeah.
And it's the first. It's the first real big guide.
It's the first new campaign setting they've brought into 5e.
Yeah.
It's been in the Forgotten Realms setting so far, and now they're bringing Eberron in, which is sick. Like it'll be nice to have another place. I mean, homebrew campaigns have been using it for forever, whatever.
Forever.
Yeah. But it'd be nice to have like a new updated source book for it. So I mean, they're going to add more lore, more information, all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. But the big one.
The real big one, which I don't know. I mean, I know you know this, Chris. I don't know if anybody in the chat knows it. But Wizards of the Coast doesn't just make Dungeons and Dragons; they also make Magic: The Gathering.
Yes, Wizards of the Coast is owned by Mattel.
Yes,
and Mattel you may know as the most insane board game company ever. And Mattel is not just in board games; they make home appliances and I think there's a clothing sub brand that they have. Mattel is crazy for all their stuff. But they own Wizards of the Coast, and Wizards of the Coast owns both Dungeons and Dragons and the trading card game Magic: The Gathering. And they are bringing in they're doing a crossover. Oh, be still my heart. So I've been playing Magic for years, and there's a really cool area in the lore in Magic: The Gathering called Ravnica, and I'm not going to get into it short of saying it is a planet that is a city. Think like Coruscant from Star Wars, but way more magical focused.
Yeah.
And they're making Ravnica a campaign setting for 5e.
Yeah,
and
it's
going to be the first opportunity for me to take this and put them together. It's going to be great. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, one of the things that I like that I'm really glad to see Dungeons and Dragons kind of make a push for right now is urban setting environments. I feel like that was something that's been lacking in 5e for a while. The Waterdeep is a giant city, and they haven't really done too much to kind of be like, hey, there's 1.5 million things you can do here. This is a giant city with thousands of places for you to visit. You can get to the Underdark from Waterdeep. You can do all sorts of stuff. And between they kind of pushed with that. They did there's a new campaign kind of coming out that's kind of focused around Waterdeep in the city. But it's also good to see that they're pushing more of that, like giving you a real full urban source book with Ravinica. So I'm pretty stoked. I mean, people who know me know a deep-rooted history in Magic the Gathering. And I think that'll be super, super interesting to play in.
What's your favorite color?
I'm curious to. Oh, my favorite color, blue.
Oh, you scum!
Yeah.
You traitor! You filth!
although I'm quote unquote famous for inventing a red-green deck that won world champions back in like 2002 or 2003.
Okay.
Or something stupid like that. So yeah, even though my heart's with blue, like I understand the power of. But regardless, I'm excited because between Eberron and Ravinica, like that's a boatload of new content. I'm curious to see what races they bring into Ravnica. Sorry,
that'll be legit.
Word.
I'm all about it, dude. Yeah. Forget the races. I want the monster manual for Ravnica. Okay, think of like every creature you've ever summoned in Magic now has an NPC.
Now has a stat block.
Like,
yeah, has a stat block. Yeah, that'll be super, super cool.
Like, yo, let me take a party of 5 people up against the Sarah Angel, all right? Like, let me just...
Oh, that would be... I didn't even think about that.
Right?
That would be insane.
Like anything from Eldrazi, right? Give me like a Pathrazer of Ulamog, right? Just like Tarrasque's Flee in Fear, right? It's like nonsensical creatures. Like, I want to see parties just like riding around on ornithopters, okay? Like,
yeah. Ooh, that would be pretty cool.
I'm telling you, man, there's so much good shit here.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So now between now and November, I think November 9th, when the D&D Magic setting comes out, Eberron is available now.
Yeah,
I know that. So that's super cool.
Yep, out on Amazon.
I can finally play the Warforged that I've been. Play. I will say that Eberron is not cleared for adventurers yet, so that will not be a thing currently, but maybe down the line. Who knows? But on that note, let's talk about tabletop games.
Hey, we're already talking about tabletop games.
Yeah, but like our history playing tabletop. Like, yeah, they're games that you played as a child, games like Monopoly and Trouble and Sorry. But as a serious gamer, there's a point where you kind of take a step past the
tradition.
Yeah. Like Milton Bradley's great, but sometimes you need a little bit more from your tabletop experience. And a lot of people go the Dungeons and Dragons route. But there are thousands and thousands of board games out there that are awesome and that are excellent. I got turned on to like the more complex board games from an old roommate of mine. His name was Tyler. He was a big board game buff, and he got me started watching. He got me on this show on YouTube called Tabletop, hosted by Will Wheaton, where he would bring in a couple of his friends and play a different board game every couple of weeks or so, and it was actually a very entertaining show. But from there,
it's been a while since I've heard anything about a new season.
There's supposed to be a new season sometime soon, or they've started filming, because I think I've seen tweets from Will Wheaton on set. Yeah, so ever since then, I kind of got introduced into the more complex games there. But there's still plenty of older games that I still dig to this day. I kind of want to do a top, maybe a top 5 for each of us. But you want to talk about maybe how you kind of got into, board gaming?
Into board games? So breaking from the traditional ones, and there are actually a couple of traditional ones I really, really like. I can't really explain why, but I really like Monopoly, and I'm really good at it. Which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, considering that most of it's just like rolling dice and hoping you land on the right tiles. But just in terms of trading and talking with people and getting them to do what I need, and just like spending money the right way, I don't know, I'm just good at it. So being really, really into that game, I actually played it with a few friends of mine in college, and somebody, I think his name was Joe, he was like, dude, you shouldn't be this good at Monopoly. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I just like making things complex. He's like, all right.
Right.
I tell you what. Some of us are gonna play some other board games, and I want you to come hang out with me and play some games. I was like, all right. So I mean, this is in college. This is 2007, and so I show up, with Joe, and they're sitting in there playing this weird game. They're setting it up, and it's like this border that's got like some. It's like a hexagonal grid, and it's got some water around the edges of it. And they're like putting these tiles in and like rolling and like seeing like where they're supposed to go and picking them and putting them randomly. And they start like putting little number circles on the tiles. I'm like, what is this game you got here? And they start like dealing out some cards, And I was like, what are we doing? They're like, all right, so this is called Settlers of Catan. And then I loved the hell out of that game because I like complex things. So yeah, Settlers was incredible. So that's just kind of how I found out about those games. And then sometime after that, I'd say my best tool for learning about new board games has been the Tabletop show that you just mentioned with Will Wheaton. Just by sheer virtue of having another game every week, that's pretty awesome just to let you know what's there. So
yeah,
that's me. That's how I got into it.
Okay, very cool. So I know we had spent some time making some top 5 lists. I know my list has changed multiple times throughout the idea of putting this together. What I'd like to do, if maybe I'll start with one, and then you can then you can do one, and then we'll go back and forth until we both get to our number one.
Great.
So I kind of want to start with the honorable mentions.
Sure.
For me, my honorable mention is a game called Betrayal at the House on the Hill. It's a complex horror exploration, working together, and then you stop working together. So what ends up happening is everyone kind of goes in and you explore this house, and you lay out as you want to walk around, you explore the rooms of this house that are all maps and they're all tiles to build a map of a 3-story house, a 2-story house in a basement. Mm-hmm. And as you go through, you discover omens, and these omens are sometimes they're okay and sometimes they're not okay. But after a specific amount of times, what'll happen is whoever gets this omen becomes the bad guy. And it's usually one out of like 50 different scenarios kind of possessed, or like you're actually a wizard. But what ends up happening is that you have to go into another room with a booklet and look at the number that kind of corresponds with what's going on, and then you have your own set of tasks to win the game, where everyone else is just trying to get out of the house. Now you get like amazing benefits for being the guy, like the bad guys, but it becomes one of those things where you all start working together and no one knows who the bad guy is going to be, and then all of a sudden, boom, things change on a drop of a hat, and the dynamic of the game completely shifts. So if you haven't played it, Betrayal of the House on the Hill, I think there's some good YouTube channels of people playing through it. I haven't seen one really lately. I'm sure if I looked, I could.
I want to throw this out there because
yep.
I love the fact that this game exists. There is a game that you can get on Steam that's called Tabletop Simulator. Tabletop Simulator has a built-in library of games that you can download board games and play them with other people online. And I believe it's even been set up so that you can buy a board game on there and download it. And there are a bunch of free ones too. I know there are free versions of Catan, and I know there's a free version of like X-Wing and of like Cards Against Humanity and Betrayal House on the Hill, and so, like every game that we're gonna mention is on there for sure.
It's on Tabletop Simulator.
So definitely, if you're interested in playing tabletop games with people and you don't have a group of friends close by to do that with, check out TT Sim. Such a nice tool. All right, we're back on track. Go ahead.
What's your honorable mention? Mention?
So my honorable mention is Fury of Dracula. It's a game that takes place in the early 1800s. One person plays as Dracula, and the other people play as vampire hunters. And Dracula's goal is to sort of like take over the world, and the vampire hunter's job is to kill Dracula. And if all the vampire hunters die or Dracula takes over the world, Dracula wins. If the vampire hunters kill Dracula, they win. So it's an interesting, and of course Dracula's super powerful and he has all these magic abilities and everything. But it's really cool. Just like as a competitive experience, it's really cool. It's one of a few different games that gives one person significant power and reason to screw with everybody, but the option to not do it. So,
Very
Fury
cool.
of Dracula, check it out.
Yeah.
Go for it.
All
Number
right,
5.
so-
Shoot.
My number 5 game is not a board game per se. It's a card game, and you had just mentioned Cards Against Humanity. I love this game. It's a fantastic party game. You don't have to like spend forever trying to learn rules. It's very simple. One person puts a card down that's a fill in the blank. Everybody else kind of picks what they think fits, and then the funniest response. The person who played the card with the fill in the blank chooses what he thinks is or she thinks is funniest, and whoever that is gets a point. You go to about 7 points, you're done.
Yeah.
This game is amazing. The best way to play it is with family. Especially, it's a very vulgar game, so if you play it with like grandma or something, sometimes you can get some really great responses out of them. It could be extremely racist sometimes, but you have to have a very open mind and a good sense of humor.
Yeah,
and if you do, then this
a
game
game that
is
is
for you.
literally designed to offend people. You got to go in knowing that at some point you're gonna be offended, and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the unwritten rules is that the Helen Keller card always wins. If you play Helen Keller, you win. For whatever reason it was. I mean, you got it. I mean,
for example,
the category cards are black
there's-
cards and the test cards are white cards, and they did that on purpose. Like in the manual that they'll ship with it, like these are the white and the black cards, and you're supposed to keep them separately. And it's like, what the hell? But there it is.
Yeah.
So
For me, the game gets real. Like the worst moment in the game when you play a card that says a big black dick, and then the person that right next to you plays the bigger blacker dick card.
Yeah.
Because that's automatic. You're automatically gonna. Is that right? Like, there's nothing you can.
yeah.
You've been out dicked, and it's thing there. All right, so what's your number 5 game?
Number 5, Star Wars X-Wing. So
Okay.
you are a commander of a space fleet of ships in, Star Wars. And so you got one player, so you can have multiple players, but I'm going to explain it from a 2-player perspective. So you have one player as the Alliance and the other player as the Empire. And so you have a certain amount of points, and using those points you can put figurines of your ships onto the field. So you got your X-Wings, your A-Wings, your Y-Wings, your B-Wings, your any letter of the alphabet wings, right? And then you get special ships like the Millennium Falcon or other stuff you can maybe buy to put on there. And then the Empire has their own stuff, TIE Fighters and TIE Interceptors and Vader's TIE Fighter and all that stuff. And once you're done with that, you navigate your ships around the board. And by the way, this game requires a significantly large table to play upon. Okay, this is it actually comes with area of effect pies that you have to put down to make sure that your attacks are going towards your appropriate enemies and everything else. Incredible game. I love playing it. It comes in a big box. You gotta have all the figurines, and you need a large table, like I said, but it's great fun. If you want to blow up your friend's spaceships, that's how to do it.
Yeah.
Number 4, hit me.
Very cool. Yes, number 4 for me. It's called In Pandemic. A bunch of diseases have broken out across the world, and you and the rest of the people that you're playing with have to treat the disease, all the diseases, and research for cures before they get out of hand. What I really like about this game is that it was the first game that I ever played that it wasn't like you versus everyone else or everyone else against each other. This was the first game that I played that everyone worked together against the board. The board could beat you and you could lose the game, or you all work together and then you beat the game. Everyone gets a role to play, like different, you could be like a scientist, or you can be, like an operations expert, or, and that kind of stuff. You all have to work together to draw from a deck of cards and then build research stations and get around the world in order to quash these diseases before they outbreak and get out of hand. So that's that's a brand of game that I didn't even know that it was the whole everybody against the board. So it was super cool to play that the first time. What's your number 4?
So I'm going back to a traditional one here. Risk. love me some Risk. It's just one of those games where it involves a lot of thinking. So you probably know how Risk works already. Everybody gets a certain number of armies. You play on a world map, and you put your armies on different continents, different countries, and then you fight each other, and the last man standing wins. It's literally the game of world domination. So kind of a simple one there, but I do love me some Risk. If you got about 4.5 hours, please sit down. I would love to kick your ass.
Yes, definitely a game that can end friendships.
Yeah. Dude, so can Monopoly for that matter.
Oh, dude, Monopoly can definitely do the same.
It's like, fuck you, man. Why'd you have to put a hotel on Park Place, man? Just let me go through. No, you have to pay the fine.
All right, so for me, my number 3 game is also an old. This game came out back in 1942 in the Netherlands. It didn't hit the U.S. until about 1958, but it is a game called Stratego. It is a board that has 100 squares on it. It's 10 by 10, and each player controls like 40 pieces that all individually have different ranks. Now you're looking at their board, like their side. You can't see their numbers. They can't see your numbers. And what happens is the smaller number wins. So you have it's almost like chess. You got a bunch of number 9s, then you get like an 8 and a couple of 7s, a 6, a 5, a couple of 5s, a couple of 4s. Then you have a 2 and a 1, and then you have a spot, and you have some bombs that you can place all over your map as well. So pretty much the way that it works is that without going into crazy detail, the smaller number always beats a higher number. So an 8 beats a 9, a 4 beats a 6, a 1 beats a 3, except for the spy loses to everything but the 1. So that's how you can clear a 1 off the board, is with the spy. And then the 8 is like a bomb defusal guy, so he can defuse bombs if you know where they're at. And then the goal is to capture the flag. So the flag is also placed somewhere on the board, and the goal is to move your pieces around. They all move in a straight line, or actually no, they don't all just move in a straight line. You can move side to side, but they all move in a plus pattern, no diagonals. And the goal is to capture the flag. First person to do it wins.
No, Stratego's a great game, and of course you gotta love the feeling when you're taking like a 3 into the field, and I thought higher numbers were better, but I don't know. Maybe it's been too long and I'm wrong. But there's nothing like the feeling of taking your 7 into the enemy's field and thinking you've seen that one block that hasn't moved the entire game, and you're like, I got your flag, and then you run into it and it's a bomb, and then you lose your 7, and you're like,
son of a bitch. Actually, Stratego game that 7 or 8. Actually, I had my neighbors back in the day. They were actually way older. Like when I was 6, 7, they were like 14, 15. And they were super cool with me coming over playing video games. They would teach me all these board games and stuff. And Stratego was one that we played a lot. So what's your number 3?
Oh, a little game called Castle Panic. Here's the situation. You own a castle. Your castle's great. Okay. You have lots of knights, and you have archers, and you've got foot soldiers, and your castle is very secure. And you've got big, strong walls around your castle, and you're in the middle of this valley, and it's a very nice valley, and it's lush, and there's forests all around, and you've got lots of pretty ladies living in your castle, and you've got like all kinds of cool stuff, man. You got like the best technology, but unfortunately there are orcs who want to destroy your castle and your livelihood, and you have to defend yourself from the orcs. And here's the thing, I love this game because it's a co-op game. It's another one of those games that Ian mentioned before that is the players against the board. And so you and the other people playing with you are people who live in the castle, and you have to use the cards in your hand to defeat the rampaging orcs that are coming in to destroy your castle from all around. And so it's set up in that there are 8 sort of slices that are around your castle, and 6. There are 6 slices that are around your castle. You got your red, your green, and your blue, and then there are 3 rings. You got your archer ring, you have your knight ring, and your swordman or your footman ring or swordsman ring or whatever. And so your cards will tell you like blue knight, right? And then that card can only damage a orc if they are in the blue section of the board in the knight circle. And so between you and your friends and all your cards and your special cards and whatnot, you have to defeat every orc and survive the castle. And as long as one internal castle is still standing, you win the game. Good stuff.
Very cool. I think I saw that played on tabletop.
It was played on tabletop.
Okay, very cool. Very, very, very cool. That was a game that I was like.
Really? The next time you're at my place, remind me because I have it in my closet.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 2 game of all time is a game that you had mentioned briefly, and I think it's one of the best games ever created. It's called Catan. It used to be known as Settlers of Catan, but now it's just straight up Catan.
Oh, is it real?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. But you know, it's gone through so many different iterations of the game that it's like it doesn't make a difference what you want to call it. In Catan, players try to be the dominant force on this island that is randomly generated, and you do it by building settlements, building cities, and roads. On each of your turns, dice are rolled to kind of determine what resources the island can give you. You collect the resources. They're cards. They're like wood, grain, stone, sheep, and brick, and you use that to build up your civilization to get 10 victory points and win the game. The setup is kind of done with like tiles that kind of show the resource or the desert, and you put it in a honeycomb shape around surrounding them with water tiles. Some of them have ports that you can kind of get in and get out of. Number discs kind of get randomly laid out on top, and those will correspond to die rolls because you roll 2 6-sided dice. So there's stuff. There's number discs from 2 to 12. And each player is given 2 settlements and 2 roads that you can place on the intersections and borders of the resource tiles. Players collect handfuls of resource cards. Their last place house is adjacent. And there's also a robber pawn that's placed on the desert tile that kind of moves around. A turn kind of consists of playing a development card, rolling your dice, and then everybody collecting resource cards based off the roll and the positions. Unless a 7 is rolled, and then the active player moves the robber to a new hex tile on a 7. You can trade cards at a port. You can trade resources with other players. And then the points are accumulated by building settlements and cities. And having the longest road and the largest army will also get you points as well. The goal is to get to 10 victory points, and you win the game.
That's how Catan works.
That's Catan to a T. Yeah. And it's one of the. It's for me. It's like one of those gateway board games where it's like super super complex, but once you start playing it, it's so easy to get, and then it becomes like a madhouse trying to trade with people and all that fun stuff. And it was definitely one of the first like complex board games that I ever played, and to this day, I people who I wouldn't expect to be into board games love Settlers of Catan.
For sure. Anyhow, moving on to number 2. So, imagine for a moment you're a wizard, and you have the most ridiculous name you can think of, and all of your spells are completely ridiculous, and you have a grudge against every other wizard in the world, and you have agreed to have a giant meeting upon the top of Mount Skullsfire to have a battle to the death with every wizard until you are the last one standing. And this game is
sounds
called...
pretty epic.
What?
It sounds pretty epic.
It's incredible. It's called Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards Duel at Mount Skullsfire. And to be clear, Skullsfire is spelled Skullzfyre. Skullsfire. This game is hilarious. You basically have 3 cards. You put them together to assemble a spell. If you can get the colors on the spell to match, you'll get extra effects and do more damage and that kind of thing. But the goal is to kill all the other wizards in the most ridiculous fashion possible and become the champion of Mount Skullsfire. And it's incredible. How do they market such a long name? I honestly I gotta think about this one for a second. I'm pretty sure that if you're trying to market a name that's so long, I think the name of it is just so ridiculous. It sells it for itself. How do you walk into a game shop and see a game called Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards Duel at Mount Skullsfire and not buy it, right? Also, it was on Tabletop,
you gotta look
so I'm sure that helped.
Yeah, you gotta look into the game as. The thing about this game is like the card animation is amazing.
Oh yeah,
and it's so over the top ridiculous. I'm trying to think of like you can come up with spells that like it's called like the Gornado or the Brain Suck or like all think like Itchy and Scratchy from The Simpsons, but with like more gore and like wizards and stuff. Okay, my number 1 top board game of all time is a game called Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride I use as the gateway for all of my to start getting out of the Mattel Milton Bradley board game conventions into something a little bit more ridiculous. This game is actually pretty easy to learn. It can be learned in under 15 minutes. And it's got so much strategic and tactical decision making in this game. It's amazing. Every turn, players collect cards of a various color, and then you turn in those cards of a matching color to lay trains on a track that match that area. So a track can be anywhere between 1 and 6 trains long, and they generally have a color tied to it. They generally have a color tied to it. So that in order to get from Santa Fe to Denver, you may have to lay 6 yellow trains down in order to make that happen. And the goal is that you pick up these pathway cards that have point values, and you have to create a track that goes from that point to the other. And if you can do that, then you get the points for that. And then overall, the goal is to get the most amount of points by the end of the game. And the end of the game happens when there's like pretty much no cards left on. So it takes 10-15 minutes to learn. The game goes about 30 minutes, and it's a whole hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What is your number 1 game?
I'm gonna cheat. I'm not doing a board game.
Okay.
I'm taking it off the rails.
Oh no!
Magic the Gathering. I mentioned this earlier because it's gonna be part of D&D with the whole Ravnica could bring in. Dude, okay, so I've played Magic the Gathering for years. I first got into it in, oh my god, when did I first hold a Magic card in my hands? It must have been in a Toys R Us when I was like 6 or something. Like, I found this game and I was like, what? This is cool art. Who is this like dude on here wearing like these giant monsters and stuff? I gotta play this game, Mom. And so my mom's like, all right, fine. So she buys me this deck of cards, okay? And it was one of those like starter decks, It was just you get a deck and that's what you have. And so I brought it home and like I had Pokemon cards at the time, right? So it was something like that. And so I took it to school and no one had any Magic cards. No one ever heard of it, and I was like, well, And so I was sitting around at lunch at a long table, just cafeterias have those ridiculously long tables with the stupid benches.
Yeah. And
so I'm just sitting there, just like flipping through my cards, like, oh, what's this one do? And then this girl walks up to me, and I was in like 3rd or 4th grade or something, and this girl who walked up to me was older than me. She was probably in like 5th grade or whatever the highest grade you could be in at the time was. And she's like, oh, you play Magic? And I looked up and I'm like, I don't know anyone who plays Magic. Do you play Magic? She's like, yeah, come play with us. And so she like takes me over to this other table where there's like 12 or 13 kids like have their own little long table in the back corner of the lunchroom, and they're all just sitting there playing Magic. And I put down my Pokemon cards that day, and I picked up the best trading card game that ever had existed. Magic the Gathering is a game where you are a wizard or a sorcerer. You're a planeswalker in lore is what you are, and your power is to summon creatures and monsters and spells from the ether around you and from the mana that you summon forth. And there are different colors of mana that control what type of spells that you can cast. You've got plains, mountain, ocean. Oh my God! Yeah, swamp. Thank you. I was trying to remember swamp and did I say mountain?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there are 5 colors. Anyway, point being, you can summon these varying types of mana and use them to cast these spells, and your goal is to kill the other planeswalker to be the victor. And there is a long series of lore of books that are released along with each new set of Magic the Gathering. And so when every new card set comes out, it's based on the most recent lore book that has happened. And so for the new integration there with Dungeons & Dragons, Ravnica happened not too long ago. And so they're using that new lore to bring that into D&D and kind of just create that connection, which would be really cool, I think. But yeah, Magic is by far the most complex trading card game I've ever played. It has the largest number of rules and the most complicated, it's called the stack, and it's the order of operations that occur when people play cards. The long story short, Magic the Gathering is easily the best trading card game I have ever played. And I will fight your blue shit to the death with my white artifact angel deck. Fight me.
It's fine.
Fight
it's
me. I don't do white weenie shit either, man. I am all offense, white artifact. Bring it on.
Hey man, that's all good. Unfortunately, I had binders upon binders, like a closet full, just stacked on top of each other. Because I've been playing since beta. I had been playing since beta.
Nice.
I got out maybe
like 92, 93 ish.
Yeah. I mean, I got in, played through, all 3rd edition and that whole deal, and made my way. I remember playing like through Urza's Saga, and then I think sometime after Urza's Saga, I started kind of getting out of it because there was a lot. It got a lot more convoluted with like what you can because each set would always introduce like a brand new mechanic and all that stuff, and all that fun ridiculousness. So I got out about 8 years ago. I want to say like right when I moved down to Florida.
Okay.
But,
were you still playing when they removed Mana Burn?
No.
Best change they ever made to Magic.
No, Mana Burn was the best.
No, Mana Burn.
I'm not gonna.
Okay, all right. Let's go there. All right.
Yeah. All right. Any bucket list games? You got any bucket list games?
I got a bucket list game. Yeah, let's move on to it. So this is just a game that I'd like to play one day that I haven't had the opportunity yet. I want to play Battlestar Galactica, the board game. Looks awesome.
Okay.
I want to check it out.
Yeah.
I'm a BSG fan. Let's go.
I'm sure it's super convoluted and
absolutely bring it on.
Because I did play Firefly. I played the Firefly board game,
okay.
and that seriously took 4 hours to learn how to play. And the game was like another 2 hours. It was absolutely ridiculous. I'll never do it again. It's ridiculous. However, for me, my bucket list game is a game. It's a party game with friends. It's called Secret Hitler. It's a dramatic game of political intrigue and betrayal set in the 1930s. Each player is randomly secretly assigned you could either be a liberal or a fascist, and one player is Secret Hitler. The fascists coordinate to kind of install their cold-blooded leader to be the champion of the game, and the liberals must find out and figure out who the Secret Hitler is before it's too late. The liberal team always has the majority. At the beginning of the game, everyone closes their eyes, and the fascists reveal themselves to another. The Secret Hitler keeps his eyes closed but puts his thumbs up so everyone can tell who he is. And each round, what happens is all the players together elect a president and a chancellor who will work together to enact a law from a random deck. And if the government passes a fascist law, the players must figure out if they were betrayed or if they were just unlucky. So the goal is for the liberal team to pass 5 liberal policies or straight up assassinate the Secret Hitler. The goal of the fascist team is to pass fascist policies or elect secret Hitler to be chancellor after 3 fascist policies have been passed. This game is awesome when you are drinking. I have seen people. I've seen people play this game, and it looks like a hell of a lot of fun. So yeah, that's my bucket list game.
Sweet.
Yeah. People. My friend Jason in the chat has mentioned Exploding Kittens. Exploding Kittens is a lot of fun. I have had the opportunity to play that. Unfortunately, I just don't think it makes my top list. But if you haven't played it, you got to.
Amen.
Yeah. Well,
do you want to brush over what we've been playing this week very briefly?
Sure. I know
briefly?
you've been doing the Zelda stream. Yeah, I know you've been doing your Zelda.
I've been doing every Legend of Zelda game on stream. From the beginning to the end of the series, all of it played on original hardware. So that's been a good adventure, which continues. Also been playing Destiny 2. We talked about that before, and I know you were playing some Warframe earlier today, weren't you?
Yeah. You got me playing like a couple of days ago. Figured I would a day off, and instead of, I decided to stream and play some Warframe. I started to get the hang of it and start figuring out what the heck's going on. I think actually once we're done this stream, I got to finish packing my bag for Baltimore, but I think I'm going to hop back on stream and play some Warframe tonight.
Hell yeah. This stream or Stunt Mustard?
I don't know. I'll flip a coin.
All right. Fair enough. Dude, hit me up when you start playing. I will be your new level 8 carry.
I don't know. I can always use 2 level 8 carries. You know, like that's... I could share my love equally between the 2 of you.
Okay. Oh man.
All right. Well, on that note, thanks guys. We appreciate all of you guys coming out and hanging this week. You can find us here every week, Monday, 9 p.m. on twitch.tv/2dudes1up. You can find us on the Discord and the Twitter and on Facebook. All the stuff is below. You can follow our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel. All of the videos go up on there. So yeah, come check us out. Say hi in the Discord. Let us know what we're doing, what you want us to talk about. Let us know if we're doing okay, or if there's any other questions that you want us to answer. We're all totally cool with taking the criticism, and we've been doing a lot of changes to the show, and we'll continue doing what we got to do to make it the best experience that we can.
All right, yeah. Thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah, take care, guys, and happy gaming.